Hello students, today we shall learn about the thoracic cage. Here you see, this is the thoracic cage, articulated thoracic cage. Actually it is not properly structured because here you see there are 6 ribs here which is attached to the sternum, but actually 7 ribs, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth and 7th ribs should be attached to the sternum, but here it is 6th, up to 6th ribs is attached to the sternum, so it is not properly structured. Now it is barrel shaped. It has got this is the anterior one, this is the anterolateral, lateral, posterolateral one, and this is, there are 2 apertures. This is the superior aperture, this is the inferior aperture. We the anatomists call this superior aperture as inlet of the thorax, but clinicians call it outlet of the thorax. We call it inlet because through trachea and esophagus, food and air enters into the thorax, so we call it inlet. But clinician they call it outlet because they consider the arterial and nervous system. The nerve comes out and artery also comes out through this aperture, so they call it outlet. Now let us see the boundary of the inlet. Here you say this is the posterior boundary, is the first thoracic vertebra, then the first rib, and here is the sternum, superior margin of the sternum, manubrium of the sternum. So this is the inlet. This inlet, because of the projection of the first thoracic vertebra forwards, so it looks some kidney shaped. The transverse diameter of this aperture is about 11 centimeter and anterior posterior diameter is about 6.5 centimeter. This aperture is roofed in by suprapleural membrane. Suprapleural membrane covers the apex of the lung. The apex of the lung is covered by pleura, and outside the pleura this suprapleural membrane lies. So it is roofed in by the suprapleural membrane. Now come to the inferior aperture. The inferior aperture is much larger than the superior aperture. Here you see the last thoracic vertebra, that is 12th thoracic vertebra. Then 12th rib, 11th rib, and then 10th rib, and this is the costal arch. This forms the, and in front it is the xiphoid process. So xiphoid process in front, then at the side costal arch, and behind it is the lower margin of the 11th, and then the lower margin of the 12th forms the lateral boundary, and in front it is the 12th thoracic vertebra. So this aperture is called lower aperture, and this aperture is covered by diaphragm. Now structures from the thorax is coming out into the abdomen, and from the abdomen coming to the thorax. The structures are, we know, there are 3 main perforations within the diaphragm, that is vena cava opening, esophageal opening, and the opening for the abdominal thoracic aorta, descending thoracic aorta. It becomes abdominal aorta by passing behind the diaphragm, and these 2 openings, that is the vena cava opening, pass through the central tendon of the diaphragm, and esophagus actually pass through the muscular part of the diaphragm. So these are the structures that pass through the diaphragm, and this diaphragm, you know, it separates the abdominal cavity from the thoracic cavity. The diaphragm actually it makes dome shaped like this. Because of this dome shaped, the thoracic cavity is not as large as it seems to be. because of the dome shaped diaphragm, it is much smaller than it seems to be externally. Now let us see the different joints that forms here. Now this is the sternum. The sternum, it forms the anterior boundary of the thoracic cage. This is the manubrium sternum, the body, and this different process. This joint, manubriosternal joint, it is the secondary cartilaginous joint. And here you see the sternal, the different process. This joint, differosternal joint, actually it is the primary cartilaginous joint. Here you see these joints, that is the sternocostal joint from sternum, and this rib, this joint is sternocostal joint. Actually, properly speaking, this is sternochondral joint, because this part, anterior part of the rib has become cartilaginous. So it should have been called sternochondral joints, but we generally call it sternocostal joints. These sternocostal joints, lower 7th sternocostal joints, they are synovial joints, but first manubrial joints, this joint is actually primary cartilaginous joint. Now here again some joints here, there is the ribs and cartilage. These joints actually, all these joints are primary cartilaginous joints. Now let us see the come to the posterior aspect here. Here the ribs, that is the tubercle of the ribs, has met some joints with the transverse process of the thoracic vertebra, that is called this is the transverse process. This is the tubercle, and this joint as well as the joints from the head of the ribs with the body of the thoracic vertebra. So it is called costovertebral joints and costotransverse joints. With the body it is costovertebral, and with the transverse process is the costotransverse joints. These joints actually, they are synovial joints. All are synovial joints. Now let us see how the thoracic cage, we know the function of the thoracic cage is it gives protection to the structures within the thorax, and it also provides mechanics by which we can take respiration, and it also provides site for attachment of muscles. Now let us see how the mechanics of the respiration. The contraction of the intercostal muscles, when the intercostal muscle contracts, the upper portion of the ribs, upper, second, third, fourth, fifth and sixth ribs, when the intercostal muscles contract, they moves upwards along the axis. When this movement is occurring, axis is passing through the neck of the rib. The axis of the movement is passing through the neck of the ribs. So at this, around this axis, this movement is occurring. When it is moving up, it actually, because of its obliquity, because of the oblique nature of this rib, when it moves up, it pushes the sternum forwards. So the anteroposterior diameter increases. This type of movement is called bucket-handed movement. This is called pump-handed movement. Now let us consider lower ribs. Here what happens when the lower ribs contracts, the sternocostal muscle contracts, the transverse diameter increases, and this movement is called bucket-handed movement. So bucket-handed movement is occurring at the lower ribs, and pump handle is occurring at the upper ribs. So because of these movements, anteroposterior diameter and transverse diameter increases, and when diaphragm contracts, the diaphragm descends because of the contraction of the diaphragm. So the vertical diameter also increases. Because of the increase of the diameter within the thorax, the thoracic intrathoracic pressure is reduced, and because of this reduction of pressure, the outward atmospheric pressure is more than the interthoracic pressure. So air enters into the lungs through our nose, mouth and larynx, trachea, etc. So this is called expiration. And just at the time of expiration, what happens when all things are relaxed and they come to the neutral position, and then the intrathoracic pressure increases and expiration occurs. That is the passive process. So these are about the thoracic cage. So